Hey everybody, Damon here with Mixed Reviews, the show that collects reviews from around the net. Bananas week this week. We've got Gears of War Judgment, God of War Ascension, StarCraft II Heart of the Swarm, and LEGO City Undercover. Let's start with Gears of War Judgment. Judgment is a prequel to the original Gears of War trilogy and focuses on the exploits of Kilo Squad. The game was also developed by the guys who made Bulletstorm. Anyway, IGN's Mitch was a huge fan. He said that the new developer brings a bold new energy to Epic Games' excellent but familiar action series. He loved the fast, intelligent combat, likable characters, and rewarding difficulty. His biggest problems were a weak villain and some dumb computer-controlled teammates. Not a huge problem, because he gave it a 9.2. The rest of the mixed average was really strong with an 81%. EGM gave it an 8 out of 10. They liked the fast-paced replayability of the game, but didn't like the meager multiplayer offering. Eurogamer also gave it an 8 out of 10 and said that sometimes being a bloody good shooter is all that's required. Overall, the critics are saying that this is a great spin on the franchise with a few innovations, so if you're curious about the game, you should check it out. Onward to God of War Ascension. This is a prequel to the original God of War trilogy and stars a still angry Kratos. Seriously, this has got to be the angriest dude in video games. IGN's Alex Simmons said it's an enjoyable game, but one that doesn't quite live up to the pedigree of its predecessor. While he liked the refined action, he did call the story flimsy and found the new multiplayer mode to be a wasted opportunity. He gave the game a 7.8 out of 10. The mixed average had a similar score of 76%. Game Informer gave it an 8 out of 10, saying that the story and combat fall short of greatness. Meanwhile, Joystick gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars and had a fancy quote. They said that Ascension is a car riding in the spectacle slipstream of its predecessors, never quite able to surpass them. Spectacle Slipstream would be a good band name. Overall, the trend is pretty clear. This game is fun, but not as good as earlier games in the franchise. Also, not many critics seem that impressed with the new multiplayer mode. Next up, we have StarCraft II Heart of the Swarm, the expansion to StarCraft II Wings of Liberty, which was the sequel to StarCraft, which came after Warcraft II. Everyone on the same page? Good. Heart of the Swarm is all about the adventures of a more human-y Kerrigan. IGN's Dan Stapleton liked the game a lot. While he found the story to be a little on the cheesy side and the boss fights to be out of place, he loved the mission design, powerful units, and unit upgrades. He gave it an 8.6 out of 10. The rest of the mixed average was high with an 87%. Game Trailers gave it an 8.5. They said that serious savants won't be disappointed by the well-constructed missions and stellar multiplayer experience. Giant Bomb actually gave it a perfect 5 out of 5. They said it pretty plainly: if you're still at all invested in keeping up with StarCraft II, there's no reason you shouldn't have Heart of the Swarm. So, if you're a StarCraft fan, you probably already own it. If you don't have it yet and you like RTS games, go buy it. But if you're looking for something completely new and different, this is not it. And finally, we have a new Wii U game, not something we get to say very often. It's LEGO City Undercover, an action movie parody that's part LEGO and part Grand Theft Auto, without all the blood and cursing and hookers. IGN's Rich George loved the huge open world, great humor, and tons of collectibles, but took issue with frequent loading times and the lack of cooperative play. He gave it an 8 out of 10. The mixed average was in the same ballpark with 77%. GameSpot gave it an 8 out of 10, calling it a joyful open-world romp for players of all ages, which is pretty much what all the reviews are saying. Destructoid gave it a 7 out of 10. Their main problems had to do with technical issues such as loading times and frame rates. So overall, most review outlets find this game incredibly charming, just watch out for those loading times. Okay, that was an emotional episode. And yes, we're still experimenting with the formats and whether we should stick with long episodes or break them up into smaller ones, so stand by while we're figuring that one out. As always, I remain Damon Hatfield, and we'll mix it up again next week.